I shared some stories with. Did I say your name a minute ago? I have to be careful. I think I
don't know
did.
if you did or not.
I'm gonna have to bleep it, but I shared some stories with him earlier, and we're gonna start talking about some of them because look, some of them are serious, some of them are not so serious. That's kind of our thing. We're gonna start off with the Bible being banned in a couple school districts in Utah.
Yep,
So,
I briefly skimmed that one.
if everyone's familiar, the MAGA crowd's going crazy, banning books all over the place. If you mention a gay person, if you mention slavery, if you mention, I don't know, anything that makes a white person feel bad, they want to ban the book. And so the Bible's got tons of slavery. Oh, yeah, anything sexual, too, they want to ban the book. The Bible has tons of sex. Right.
Yep.
It's got tons of sex, and the Bible's got tons of gay sex. There's lots of gay sex. It's also got incest. It even has one of the big heroes in the Bible, partaking in incest with both of his daughters and having children with both of his daughters. If you don't know that story, it's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot, he's the only good man in the town. So God's going to save his whole family because, that's the way they used to do it. Women and children weren't really considered unless they had a good dude running the ship. And so as they're leaving, his wife dared to turn around and look back at the bodies that she could smell burning and all of her friends yelling like she looked at them. So, of course, she had to be killed right there on the spot. So he and his two daughters end up in this cave. They got nowhere else to go. And the daughters, they're horny. They're developing. They're not around other people. They really want to have children. And, of course, the Bible makes it very clear that the woman's only real job is to have children. And so they each get their dad drunk on different nights and go into, inside the cave, and they make babies with him.
Tells you it's bad, though, right?
It doesn't really say it's bad. It says they have to sneak in, which I guess is supposed to be the part that's bad, right? They snuck in on them. But, of course, the Bible's always trying to make the women look bad and not the men. Meanwhile, look, being drunk, you and I both know, because you have a kid, I got a couple kids, we're both fully aware that there's no level of drunk where I could do the thing that he did.
Nope.
Twice, both resulting in pregnancies. So, as far as I'm concerned, I would be perfectly fine with my kids not having access to the Bible, at least in a school setting. I really don't care, especially if you're going to go after all the other books you're going after. But yeah, they're looking to get the Bible condemned over its sexual content. I think it's great. I've seen pornography and I've read the Bible, and they're different, says one of the local ministers. And what he means to think is that there's pictures and maybe video in pornography. But have you ever read a romance novel? Because those aren't allowed in children's schools either. And
are they not?
No, and they're significantly tamer than the Bible in many, many cases. So it comes with a growing debate about measures that prohibit certain works in schools. And look,
this one's just, at least my understanding, it sounds like they're just fighting it to prove a point. Of
course they are.
Actually offended by the Bible.
Of course they are. So some kid there with two moms or two dads cannot read a story about a gay couple, but they can read all of these really perverse stories in the Bible.
So I will say, I don't think
until it got banned.
Not just a gay couple. The other book that they're trying to get banned, that the opposing side is trying to get banned, is a comic book, but it's nothing but the characters' sexual exploits.
So look, I'm not defending every book they're trying to ban.
Oh, okay.
I'm defending.
They are.
Who's they?
It's
you and I.
This other organization is saying none of those books should be banned.
You and I. Okay. We're the ones arguing. No one else is here. I can't argue with them. Hey, computer, stop saying that. See, it didn't work.
But I thought we're fighting for the side.
You're a moron. And I'm glad that you're named. So, yeah, I do agree with this comment that Andrew Stang says. And it's weird because it sounds a lot like Andrew Yang, who was the presidential candidate who got, I think, a percentage of the vote in the primary for the Democrats. But he says the Bible's pretty raw, and there's some pretty raw stuff in there, but it's nothing compared to what kids see on their phones. I completely agree. And the same can be said for all these books that they're actually banning.
But that's not a justification. Do you agree? I don't think that's a justification. Just because you see it everywhere, might as well be okay to throw it in.
So I think that there's a time period that you have to look at, right? There's eras. And I think that we're in an era where it's kind of silly to think that you're going to stop kids from knowing what sex is. at certain ages, right? It's obviously age based.
I don't disagree, but I don't want to make it easier for them either.
Well, I don't want to make it easier for them to get a hustler, but I don't necessarily mind if they know that like a girl can have two moms. I don't necessarily mind if they know that men and women can come together and make babies, and that's
I don't disagree.
Again, it depends on the age. It depends on the age. I'm not saying that we should go and explain all the intimate details to a kindergartner,
right?
But I am saying that like they're banning, not just in Utah, but it's everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. One of the books they were banning, it was for the fact that it described sex and not in a graphic hustler way. It just described like they're having sex, they're gonna have a baby, and they wanted to ban it from high schools. Like, what are you doing? These high schoolers know where babies came from. They do.
The issue is a lot of these states,
that's all they care about.
Well, these states have state laws that enable just one parent to come
That's
up,
right.
And they bring their issue up.
So does ours.
It has to go through the entire process.
Texas has that too.
Yep. So the vast majority of these, I don't think anything's happening with them. It just gets brought up in the news because now it's in the process.
These 2,000-year-old books, or however old they are, they all have stuff in them that our culture would deem inappropriate, which is ironic because we allow things that should be deemed inappropriate. Again, this is Andrew Yang talking. It's not really Yang, it's Stang.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait.
Yang was the other
was
guy. Yeah. So a redacted version of the request, first published by the Salt Lake Tribune, said the Bible had been left off of a list of books to be banned under the new law, despite containing incest, onanism. Do you know what onanism is?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't either. We should have known that coming in.
To look that up.
Can you look that up real quick? Onanism?
Let me Google that.
Prostitution, bestiality, mutilation, fellatio, dildos, rape, and even infanticide. I mean, I totally agree. All of those things are prevalent in the Bible. What's onanism?
Masturbation.
Oh, masturbation. So they should have said masturbation.
I've never heard that term.
So, if you've got an issue with little Johnny reading a book that says that kids masturbate, like he also shouldn't be able to read the Bible.
The second definition, so there's two definitions.
Okay.
One is masturbation. Two is coitus interruptus.
So it's interrupting somebody during sex?
I guess.
Those are very different definitions.
Early 18th century French or modern Latin.
So, the parent that's objecting to the Bible, right? They're objecting to the Sensitive Materials in Schools Act, which bans schools in Utah from providing students access to materials deemed inappropriate for minors. This is defined as either pornographic material, patently offensive in the description or depiction of nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, sadomasochistic abuse, or excretion, or material harmful to minors. Again, I think really every one of those things exists in the Bible. So, at any rate, this parent's, saying get this porn out of our schools. I tend to agree with them. You don't have any issue with them banning the Bible?
I would definitely have an issue with that. I think.
Would you?
I think the parents banning the Bible. It's the most printed book in human history.
Okay.
By far.
So printing it a lot means it's okay because there's a lot of copies of Hustler out there.
I think it's been.
If it's been printed
that much, it's been widely accepted by pretty much every culture in the world. So
it's definitely not accepted by Middle Eastern cultures.
A lot of people in Middle Eastern cultures.
I mean, not that many.
Like 12% or something.
Okay, but like, should we have the Quran and the Torah?
Those are in the schools.
No. Well,
they haven't banned those.
So once again, I understand they haven't yet, but like there is stuff in the Quran that you could ban it for. Quran.
I don't disagree, but that person's going to have to.
Well, it's that person.
They'll lose on that challenge, I think.
But it would be one of the Christians that would challenge that one, not this other person, right? At any rate, look, if you're going to go after books, you've got to expect that people are going to try to follow the same rules and go after the books you like.
Right.
I don't see why this is a surprise. And
I will say a lot of people are fighting against some of these book bans and don't even know what's in them. That one in Florida they were talking about the other day.
You mean like Christians in the Bible who they have no idea what's in the Bible, but I know what's in the Bible?
Along the same lines.
I can quote it and they can't?
Yep.
Yeah, because how many Christians do you think actually know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah all the way to the pregnant daughters? It's not many.
Probably.
That's probably about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say like the book that they were talking about in Florida recently, everyone was saying, how dare you ban that and stuff like that. And I think it was in elementary schools that it was banned for. And they held the book up on CNN, on TV. And CNN had to blur it because it's obviously too offensive for television.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to argue against that one?
Well, you can't just bring up a random case that's not in the story that we read and expect me to argue it. I can't argue it.
I can do whatever I want.
Well, but I can't argue it, and you know that.
So I win.
But that doesn't mean you win. No, see, we were talking about this particular case.
Number one.
You got to quit doing that. You got to quit pretending like you have these wins because they're fake. We're gonna have to have. We're gonna have to get a moderator in here.
Let's move on. I know
We're
you're
obviously
jealous.
gonna need a moderator.
I know you're jealous. Let's move on.
There's definitely no jealousy.